The Hermit from Sharktooth Shore. It was a cold winter evening, and the thermometer read 40 below. I was heading down to the bus station to meet some sucker for his dough. I was standing in the washroom where I usually make my score. That's when I met this fabulous gent, the Hermit from Sharktooth Shore. To me, it looked like a lemon, so I tried it before his door. My approach was intercepted in a cool, smiling way. He said, "Hey, brother, your fingers are much too clumsy. You couldn't even beat the dead. You shouldn't be out here picking pockets. That's a hustle for a lane. You should be a con man. That's a far most prosperous game. If you will follow me to dinner, we'll have a heart-and-heart chat, and I'll tell you my experiences of how I was once broke flat." So we jumped in a 50-cent gypsy and headed for Annie's Grill. The Hermit ordered wild duck dinners, and then he began to spill. He said, "Kid, I remember when I was down and out, not a cent in my jeans. I was like any other slouch hustling a nickel for a bowl of beans. I slept in boxcars. I was ragged as a jaybird, and I didn't even know what a square meal was. I got tired of sleeping in alleyways, wearing old raggedy clothes. I got tired of going barefoot and eat down at Hoghead Joe's. I left Ragtown. I left this town of the fools and dopes. I started on my road to fame, being schooled by the yellow kid. He taught me shortcut, how a sucker should be led on, make him think he can rise the dead and grow hair on a wooden head. Don't let him get a word in. Tighten up your hold. When he stands there undecided, beat him for his gold. You shouldn't be out here picking pockets. That's for a lane. You should be a con man, I told you, and that's the far most prosperous game. If you follow me to the Gold Coast, I'll gladly show you the ropes." So I went to this pad on the Sharktooth Shore. The sight of it almost snapped my wig, for I've seen nothing like it before. I stood just like a tin soldier, for all I could do was stare, for the famous bucket and pallet couldn't touch his pad nowhere. We were seated up the boudoir and up a long flight of stairs, very steep. When we reached the reception room, we wallowed in rugs. They were knee-high deep. From a gigantic radio and bar, we had a scotch and soda or two. He said, "Bud, I'm going to make a con man of you. The next day we'll go to Frisco's out there. It's the most prosperous land. I want you to stick to me as my shirt and watch as I play by hand." So the next day we were going to Frisco. We was talking to a fella named Payne. Before we reached the station, that fool aboard the train. He had some worthless jewelry, not worth a grain of sand. He sold them to some lame brain for 10, maybe 15 grand. We were standing on Grand Boulevard one bright and sunny day. He took a sucker for 19 grand and sold him to Frisco Bay. Now I watched the Hermit closely, and yeah, I learned the game. I headed back to New York, the East Coast, to con my way to fame. When I got back to New York, I started out right away. I remember what the Hermit taught me, and I got a sucker every day. For 5 long years, I was at it day and night. I had a cool $50,000 landed. I can say I was doing all right. I started on my vacation. It was early in the fall. I was going to stop over in L.A. to pay the Hermit a call. Now it had been 5 long years since I saw the Hermit from Sharktooth Shore. And I rang the Hermit's doorbell, and a fair maiden opened the door. She looked like the goddess of fairyland, standing in the way of sun She was the most beautiful woman I ever seen. And she wasn't on day over 21. I said, my name is Calvin Rocquemoor. Would you please inform the Hermit that Calvin is here? And I heard word from my eyes. There fell a tear. She said, come in, Calvin. Have a seat and I'll take you wraps while George fix you something to eat. She came in with a tray and sat down and said, I'm sorry to tell you this, Calvin, but your friend, the Hermit, is dead. You know, we were married a couple of years ago. He often talked about you and how he put you on the know. He said you'll be back, but when he didn't know, but you'll be too clean and too filthy with dough. But now that you finish eating, I'll show you to your room. And the next day I'll show you to your room, and tomorrow I'll show you where his tomb. That does right. And so the next day the widow mournfully led the way. She took me to the burying place where the fabulous Hermit lay. His gravestone was a gigantic one. It was engraved by a skillful hand. It read, "Here lies James Willard Barkley, better known to some of you as the Hermit from Sharktooth Shore." So I turned to the widow and asked her what has brought us in. And she said, "Oh, Calvin, Heron has beat him for his win." So all you pennyweight pimps and con men who think you know the score, you got your memory your superior, the Hermit from Sharktooth Shore. I wrote that in the 50s.